stand for the prayer and pledge?
Father in heaven, bless us as we gather today for this meeting. Guide our minds and hearts so that we will work for the good of our community. Teach us to be generous in our outlook, courageous in the face of difficulty, and wise in our decisions. Thy will be done. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I now call to session this regularly scheduled meeting of the Hancock County Commission this June 6, 2013, and I'm going to ask that Ohio County Commissioner Tim McCormick come up to the microphone and address. I know he's come all the way up from Wheeling to talk to us, and I know everyone's here.
I cheated. I just came from Warwood.
From Warwood, all right.
Yes. Appreciate the opportunity to speak in front of you, gentlemen. You're aware that I'm West Virginia's representative to the National Association of Counties, of which NACO is a member. And I'm here basically to give you a peanut shell version of a member benefit through NACO. As a member in NACO, you are available and have the opportunity to take part in what's known as a prescription card program. It's sponsored by Caremark CVS, which is the largest pharmacy benefit manager in the country. This prescription card program is one of the few things in life that's free. The program has been in existence for almost 10 years now. 7 years. Ohio County's been a member of that program since the beginning. We were a pilot program. Basically, it's a program for underinsured and uninsured individuals that live in your county. And in today's day and age, with the way folks are dealing with healthcare issues, we're finding out that it's not uninsured and underinsured. It's people like us who are standing and sitting in this room right now that can take full advantage of this program. There are no limitations, no restrictions on the program. There are no health restrictions, no salary restrictions, anything like that as far as income. It's available to any person who would be a resident of, if you all decide to join, of Hancock County. Basically, it's very easy to join. You sign a contract with NACO. They send that contract to Caremark. They in turn will send another contract back to you. Your prosecuting attorney will look at it, and I can tell you over 1,400 counties in the country are utilizing this program. Not one prosecutor has turned down the contract. That's how solid the thing is. Once you sign the contract with Caremark, they will send you back a sample card as to what you would like to do. You do your own design. This is what our card looks like, right here at the very top. Once you figure out what you want on your design, what you want on it, you'll send it back to Caremark, tell them how many cards you want. They in turn will send you the cards. They will give you a marketing plan, if you will, give you all kinds of information to send out to the press, to your residents. And then what a resident does is once they get this card, very simply, they take this card, they tear it off, and they can go to a participating pharmacy. I have, for your perusal, if you wish, I don't know if I'm allowed to move forward, there's a copy of all the participating pharmacies in Hancock County on that sheet of paper. If you go to fill a prescription, you take this prescription card with you. If it's it will be a participating pharmacy. If the prescription is on a discount with this card, you will receive a discount for that prescription. Average savings on a prescription through Caremark is 25%. Our average in Ohio County has been around 29 and 30% per prescription. I don't know what drugs our folks are using, but it must be the good stuff because the prescription is much, much higher. There's no limit. This card can satisfy an entire family. If you want every member of your family to have a card, all you have to do is give each one of those members of that family this prescription card. They take it again to the pharmacy, they get the prescription, you show this card that if they're a participating pharmacy, and if they deal with Caremark, they know if they're a participating pharmacy. And again, that list will tell you what's going on. Ohio County saved over $300,000 since we've been in it. Our constituents have. Our citizens have. There is zero cost to the citizen, and that's one of the beauties of this. You won't find too many prescription cards that are at no cost whatsoever. There's zero cost to the county commission, so there's no cost whatsoever. There's no kickback taking place. There's nothing under the table. It's a membership benefit for members of NACO. It's a deal that was worked with Caremark, who is now a major sponsor with NACO, and they're doing this to try to help out the people that live in this country. Nationwide, over $470 million have been saved using this thing. West Virginia, the state of West Virginia, out of 55 counties, 47 counties utilize this card. Over $11 million has been saved in the last 5 years. So it's a significant savings. It's a proven commodity. It does work. It does not cost. The only negative that may be there is the fact that once you get the cards, you have to disseminate the cards into the public. You have to find a way to do that. In fact, Caremark has made it so easy because of competition trying to get into the game. They sent out a mail-out card. Last year, or 2 years ago, Ohio County in every tax bill sent one of these prescription cards to that taxpayer. So everybody who paid taxes in Ohio County 2 years ago received a prescription card. You can go to your high rises, you can go to your schools. We sent them up to West Liberty State College, or West Liberty University. I'm showing my age. West Liberty University, they handed them out to their freshmen because a lot of times when the child leaves, they don't have prescription card coverage. So now those folks do. Every freshman class at West Liberty gets one of these cards to help take care of things for themselves. It's a very proven card. It's a very proven benefit for members of NACO and Caremark. Very easy to use. Caremark at this point in time, once they are established in a county, they are now sending cards directly to the pharmacies. And they'll give them a display to put on their counter so that anyone comes in can use the thing. The only thing you cannot do is use this card in conjunction with another prescription card. If you have a prescription card plan now and you take this card in with you, by law, the pharmacist has to give you the highest percentage savings, whether it be your personal card or the NACO card. So whichever saves you the most money is what they by law have to honor. So again, it's a very beneficial program, and just for added attraction, this works for animals also. If you have a pet, you take your pet to the vet and he has to write a script, and you take it to the pharmacy, this thing is very likely will work. Now, if the vet fills the prescription himself or herself, it won't work. It has to come from one of the participating pharmacies. But again, it's a proven commodity. It really is. It's a wonderful program. Caremark is a great group to work with. If you call Caremark with questions, you won't get a machine. You'll get an individual to talk to. They will take care of your problems. Nicholas County had a problem last year. A participating pharmacy was refusing to participate. Caremark got in touch with them, and this is a deal that's made between Caremark and the pharmacists. So there are no money exchanges hands with anyone. From you giving this card out, you don't sell this card to anyone. You hand it to them. There's no cost whatsoever to you. Thank you, appreciate it. There's no cost to you or them whatsoever. So with that, that's in a nutshell, if you will. I could go into a lot more detail, but that in itself is the basic premise of the whole thing. And I'm trying, like I said, 47 out of 55 counties are using the program. And I'd like to see Hancock join if you all desire to do so.
And that's the application package there?
No, what we'll do is if you decide to go, let me know. I'll contact NACO in Washington. They'll send a packet out. This used to transfer and change hands in about 3 weeks. Since so many counties are now using it, it takes about 10 weeks once you start the process. But they try to speed things up as quickly as they can.
Tim, help me on this. So I go to my pharmacy, and I see my pharmacy's on there, and I get my pharmacy, and I typically pay a copay. How do I save anything?
Copay, if you're going to continue to use your own prescription card, you'll stay with that. If this gives you a higher percentage savings than your
So I might not have to pay as much on a copay.
card, this one will save you some money.
Okay.
Not to tell war stories. We had a gentleman in the pharmacy, and the pharmacist said the guy wanted to remain anonymous, and I understand. It was an elderly gentleman who got a new prescription. It was the second time he filled it. The second time he went to fill the prescription, he had one of the NACO cards. He filled the prescription, saved him $60 on his prescription. And the pharmacist told me, he told me not to give his name out, but the guy said, this is wonderful. He said, I can now go buy my grandson a birthday present, which I couldn't have done before, because he was expecting to spend $60 more on that prescription. So it does work. It does work. There's no question about it. There's testimonials from across the country as to how beneficial this thing is. In fact, you guys are fortunate. There's a representative from CVS Caremark that's in Pittsburgh right now, a gentleman by the name of Brad Stone. And I know if there are any problems whatsoever, he'd be on it right now.
Great.
So I'll leave it to you all if you decide to join. I think it'd be wonderful. It'd be a great asset for you and for the people that live in Hancock County.
Mr. Davis?
Would you be kind enough to send us a packet, please?
Absolutely. I'll make a
Thanks,
phone
Commissioner.
call on my way home and have them get it out to you as soon as possible.
Great, thank you.
Okay? Thank
Thanks
you
for your
very
time.
much.
Thank
You all
you.
don't, I won't offend you if I
Not
at all.
If your meetings are as
Understand.
exciting as ours, I'm ready. Thank you all.
Take
Take
care.
care.
All right.
Citizen presentations. Denise Beatty, if you'd step up there to the microphone.
Hello.
Hi.
Thank everyone for asking us to be here, letting us be here, present our case. I've never been to a commissioners meeting before, so I'm not quite sure what to expect, what I can and cannot bore you with, because you see I'm a researcher, so I don't really do things in a peanut shell like he does. I kind of have a lot of information. Also, a lot of what we're talking about today is referencing West Virginia Code on salvage yard. And I wasn't sure how familiar everybody is with that code, because as I did my research, I came to realize how much information is in the West Virginia Code, and I'm not sure how familiar everybody is with salvage yard. So I created a packet that would just reference the topics that we're talking about. I don't quite have enough for everybody here, but I'll just let you fight over it. How's that?
The sheriff should probably have
I will
one.
get him one for sure. Mr.
Thank you,
Fletcher,
Denise.
you're welcome.
And Mr. Fairhead?
Mr. Fahey needs one.
Okay. Thank you. There you go, you're welcome. Okay, but I have a few more left if
Eleanor.
Eleanor?
Need one, do you?
Are you calling Eleanor Salvage?
She's our clerk.
I'm here myself, along with my husband and my father-in-law, to discuss the residence of Mike Clayton on Grassy Lane, which is in New Cumberland, West Virginia. We live next door to that residence at 201 Grassy Lane. We've lived there for 11 years now. I just wanted to start out by reading what the West Virginia Code, Chapter 17, Article 23, its definition of salvage yard is, because that's the whole basis of our discussion. So for those maybe that don't know what the definition is, I'd like to go ahead and read that. Salvage means old or scrap brass, copper, iron, steel, other ferrous or non-ferrous materials, batteries or rubber or any junked, dismantled, or wrecked machinery, machines or motor vehicles, or any parts of any junked, dismantled, or wrecked machinery, machines, or motor vehicles. And that's really what we're talking about today. A salvage yard means any place which is maintained, operated, or used for the storing, keeping, buying, selling, or processing of salvage, or for the operation and maintenance of a motor vehicle graveyard. We're really talking about the first half of that, which is maintained, operated, used for storing, keeping, buying, selling. That's what we're referring to at the residence. Those of us in the residential area of Grassy Lane, there's 7 current residences plus additional potential residences still left undeveloped. Residential is defined by, I listed the West Virginia Code there, an area whereas in 5 or more occupied private residences are located with any 1,000-foot radius. We have been living next to what we believe, according to this definition, is a salvage yard for a minimum of 11 years. There are residences that have been there longer than we have, so I put a minimum of 11 years. We, my family and I, have been quite fair about this issue as we try to be neighborly and understanding. The residence in question, that of our neighbor, Mike Clayton, has been littered with junk cars, scrap metal, metal beams, a rather monstrous junk camper filled with old car parts, automobile gas tanks, truck beds, and cabs, and random various car parts for all 11 of our years of residence. Again, in trying to be neighborly and understanding that his main source of income is his towing business, we have tried to refrain from complaining. However, the situation is now escalating, and so are the hazards to our children and everyone residing in this community, and that's really what we're here to discuss today. Before I get to new concerns that are facing our family, I wanted to discuss a little bit more about the salvage yard situation. We have been in contact with the employees of the West Virginia DEP, including the West Virginia DEP SVAP, which is Gene Carey that I've spoke with, the DEP Hazardous Waste Department, the Division of Highways, and a salvage inspector. We're waiting on information from the salvage inspector that we wanted to present to you today, but we don't have that. He hasn't contacted us back yet, but he has been by the property. In our search to understand our rights, we have also contacted some folks at the legislature just because we don't really know what our rights are, and I'm trying to find out what I can and cannot ask for. So we've just been doing a lot of research. Each of these folks have assisted us by directing us to this information that you see in the code, helping us understand the permit requirements of said code, and assisting us on the websites of those divisions. Again, referring back to the salvage yard and salvage, we do have pictures. I don't know if
I'd like
that's
to see 'em, yeah.
something that,
Denise, how many cars, vehicles, trucks are there? Do you know offhand? I mean,
how many
There is,
offhand?
yeah, 10 miscellaneous forms.
okay.
Yeah, 10 in all different states
There's
of
a crane,
disrepair.
There's a cab for a truck sitting here, there's a truck bed on its side over here, there's this old Dodge pickup truck, and some other cars on the other side of the lane.
Yeah, I mean, the 10 cars does not count
And he has-
the gas tanks, the truck beds, that's just 10 cars plus the other things in question.
And he's moved some here recently.
Yeah, I think he knows we're kind of finally in a fuss about it, so he's he's starting to, move a little things around, which is nice, because that's what we ask. As you look at those pictures, what I wanted to point out, and is in the blue on this first page here, code 17-23-4, we feel, and as we've discussed with other people at the DEP and the Hazardous Waste Department and the other divisions, we feel that by the definition that's in the West Virginia Code, that this is a salvage yard. And if you refer to code 17-23-4, it says no license may be issued. Now, there is no license issued at this point on this property, and the owner himself says he is not a salvage yard. He doesn't know what we're talking about, but all the definitions that we refer to here, to us and to other people at the DEP, feel that, yes, I mean, that does fall under code. So, but it does say here, I thought was the most important part, that no license may be issued if he does try to apply for a license now that he knows we're raising a fuss. No license may be issued allowing a salvage yard within 1,000 feet of the nearest occupied private residence unless waived by the owner of the residence, or within 5,000 feet of the nearest occupied private residence, which is part of a residential community. I don't know if you can tell by the pictures there that our property line is about 8 feet from all of this. So we are definitely within our rights. We have not been approached at any point in time as we've lived in this house to waive the right to have him, to allow him to run a salvage yard. And as I've said, we've tried to be neighborly all this time and kind of, say, hey, I noticed you got another car, or just kind of put it out there and not try to make too much of a fuss, because it is his property, and, we want everybody to be comfortable on their own property. But I do want to say that as we did our research, I did find another part of the code that says 22-5-2, talking about pollution and other property rights. It says, that in the pollution area, that statutory air pollution, which is another point we're going to get to here in a minute, is not permitted if it's injurious to human health, welfare, or property, or would interfere with the enjoyment of life or property owners. And that's really what this has become. Not only does he already have the situation that we've just discussed, he is in the process of moving his tow truck business, his metals business, he's building an auto body shop right up against our property line. He's going to put in an auto body metal replacement panel warehouse on the property. These are all new issues now that we're facing, we're very concerned about. Since he has been displaced by his previous landlord, he has already been parking his very large diesel tow trucks and heavy equipment in his driveway as he begins building. So our existing concerns of the salvage yard are now compounded with our concerns of our family's health risks as he moves all these businesses. So we're going to be now facing diesel trucks coming up and down a very narrow gravel lane. We're going to have traffic, high traffic now, with children playing in the, in the yard or in the area. We're going to have just more traffic to me brings, the reason we moved out to the country was to keep our children safe and to have our privacy and our fresh air. And it seems like I found out that because we live out in the country, maybe there aren't as many rights to that fresh air as we thought there were if your neighbor chooses to do something. I don't feel that's fair, but you know, as we paid extra money to live where we live for those points. But we're just here trying to find out, are we interpreting the code correctly? What are our rights? What can we do to keep the safety and the health of our children, our family, the other residences in the community, and also, in the end too, to keep property value. I mean, our home is our biggest investment. You know, we have our home and our children's education. Those are our two biggest investments. And every time he moves another car in, or he's gonna start parking these diesel trucks and running an auto body shop with paint fumes and overspray and sandblasting, you know, if we need to sell our home, you know, maybe to fund our children's education or to downsize or something like that, we're not going to receive the amount that we've invested into it. And I don't think we can afford to take a loss on that like anybody else can in the community. So we're just really here to find out what we can and cannot ask for.
Additional pictures of the lane, and you can see how narrow it is.
Very
And it's
narrow.
a gravel lane that isn't designed to handle, you know, I don't think it's designed to handle heavy truck traffic and trailers. And the other thing is we do maintain the cost of that road, so he's gonna incur more costs to myself and the other residents to keep it maintained. I physically watched him back one of his larger trucks out of his new driveway that he's cutting. And you'll see a utility pole directly across the street on that lane. He was backing out a trailer, and he was jackknifing the trailer all over the place, digging into the gravel lane. I've talked to Mon Power. There's nothing they can do as far as protecting that pole, but there's no way, there's nothing that I know that we can do to protect it. So when he hits it, if he knocks it out, Mon Power said they will bill the person that knocked it out, if we know who knocked it out. And then we would have to sue him if, say, our house freezes or whatever, we're not there in the wintertime or whatever. You know, we lose power to our house because he knocks it out. So there's a lot of hazards here that Denise is referring to.
We have the salvage yard issue. I have been talking to the industrial groundwater contaminant person. It's Greg, I'm gonna say his last name wrong, because we were on a cell phone with bad connections, and I think it's Pitzel or something like that, but he's gonna contact me again on Friday. He's out of the office due to a personal crisis right now, but he will be back in the office tomorrow. But I was speaking with him about groundwater contamination. He feels that based on what I have told him about the property, that there should be, Mr. Clayton should have permits and should have sampling and testing done, and he should have had it done all these years, and we've never done that. Again, I didn't really realize what all of our rights were until he started telling us he's moving all of this other parts of his business, you know, to the residents, and then I got very, very concerned. So, you know, I'm now learning that there are permits that he should have that I don't believe that he has, you know, in speaking with him, because he doesn't feel like, you know, he's running any type of salvage yard, or he doesn't feel like, you know, he's required to have these. I believe he may be required to have a hazardous waste ID. He also needs a groundwater contamination permit, a stormwater contamination permit, and again, that involves testing of the soil after rains and things like that, so we really know what the true harm is to our area. And as you go through on the second page, I talked to Jean Kakari also, who directed me to subpart 6H of the EPA, and that's when we start getting into where he's going to be moving in his auto body business onto the residential property. The subpart 6H starts talking about all of the information about what he's required to do as far as to try to contain overspray and you know, air particles and things like that from you know, running an auto body shop. So those are things that, you know, we need to look at as he's building his business. You know, we're thinking just to try to deter all that pollution and contaminants before it even happens. You know, and then if you move on to page 3 of the packet, we talk about Title 45, which is a legislative rule, which talks about to prevent, control particulate matter and air pollution. This not only talks about the auto body, but we're focused on the auto body shop, but this talks about using our road, which is a gravel lane. The diesel trucks coming up and down the gravel lane, hauling the cars, towing the cars, things like that. When they're talking about the pollution, they are talking about those substances, anything that's stirred up in the air like that. So I've cited different codes in there, not only Title 45. Title 45 also references West Virginia Code 22-5-2, which talks about statutory air pollution, which talks about also on private property, residences, and haul roads, which this road now, because he's going to try to use it as business and be operating the diesel trucks up and down, could fall into the haul road category as well.
Did you talk to the DEP at all?
I did. I talked to,
Would they consider coming up and looking at this
they
place?
are.
They're
They
coming.
are going to come up and look at it. Unfortunately, with the time situation, we couldn't get them there and get a report before today. But we do have, I've been playing phone tag with Al Carducci. I've been talking to Gene Kakari. I've been talking to this Greg Pitzel, which I know is probably the wrong last name, but it's really close to that because we were on the bad cell phone connection. But every person that I've talked to has this salvage yard situation. Sounds like that's our main, focus at first. Then we need to, focus on the haul road, the pollution, air contaminants now, because he's going to be driving up and down, a gravel road, which we maintain, we pay for it in the community. And so I have talked to every division of highways. I've just talked to everybody that I can to try to get my starting ground.
I'm going to suggest, I don't know how the commission feels, I'm going to suggest that Mr. Vitus Mr. Vitus is our administrative man here, to begin to work with you to lay out all these issues
Okay,
so that we can find out what your rights are.
okay,
And if there's any violations being occurred out there, work with Mr. Fahey, our counsel,
Right.
to see if there's anything we can do, to work with our sheriff to see if there's anything we can do. Obviously, if there's some issues out there, we need to move on this and need to be very supportive of this. And if you'll go ahead, Tom?
Just to let the commission know, Mr. Clayton was taken off of 911 rotation several months ago after experiencing an injury on one of his toes. So he is off of rotation for 911. In order for him to come back onto rotation, he would have to submit his plans to the Sheriff's Department as a request for tow, and it would be up to the Sheriff's Department to review our county ordinance to make sure he's in compliance with everything. This situation that Ms. Beatty is talking about is slightly different, but right now he is currently off of rotation, so other than doing private tows, he does not tow for the county.
right. And he has a fresh private tow this morning, because I heard the diesel truck fire up last night, which was fabulous out in the country with the crickets. He towed a Comcast truck last night, so it was on the truck bed this morning. And we want to be neighborly. We don't want to put him out of business. We're not looking to do that. We're just trying to maintain what we brought our children to and our family to.
If I could.
Yeah, go ahead.
I want to read.
He's referring to West Virginia Code 17-23-9. The violations declared public nuisance, abatement, injunctions, and penalties. The establishment, operation, or maintenance of a salvage yard or any part thereof in violation of any provision of this article is hereby declared to be a public nuisance, and the commissioner or the prosecuting attorney of the county in which such salvage yard or any part thereof is located shall apply to the circuit court or other court of competent jurisdiction of the county in which the said salvage yard or any part thereof is located for an injunction to abate. And again, that's 17-23-9.
And I think Mr. Vitus will investigate that very quickly.
Okay,
And we should come back and see if that's a course of action.
okay.
Yeah, and this isn't our first time with this issue. Matter of fact, Bob, I'll give you, I don't want to give a name on camera, but we've been through this on Swearingen Hill. And Mr. Savakis, and there should be a file in that office that has, we've been through this before on a couple of occasions. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, the liquid hazard waste might be your best option. I remember from the previous cases, I mean, if there's antifreeze or oil or anything that was spilled on the ground, that's where we closed the loop, so to speak, the last time we did this. You bought a house in an addition that was probably from the same plot, same farm or something? Is that correct? Were there restrictions on your deed? Did you?
The only thing that we noticed on the deed was building off the frontage a certain footage.
There's,
Certain amount.
did you check that?
I'll check the deed.
Check the deed, because what happens is, in the last case, there was no restrictions at all. So you had like 20 houses. The one house that wasn't in that plot of land wasn't sold as the plot, because they were all together except for that one house.
Okay.
That's where we ran into a problem before. So check your deed, make sure there's nothing written on there, any restrictions,
Okay.
as far as building.
If it's okay with you, let's have Mr. Bias begin to investigate and then work among these things and see what we can do.
Yeah, I wasn't sure how much time we had, but I also brought information about auto body repair and the isocyanides and all the chemicals that are associated with it, and the OSHA.
Well, that could be your biggest, that could be what you asked.
Sightings,
key.
The
Yeah.
sightings that would be imminent issues with us. You know, I don't want to have to sit on my back porch with earplugs. I don't think I should have to sit back there with respirators. And
I agree.
They're subjecting us to hazards that.
Because that auto body
are
shop
there.
is gonna.
It's gonna be right there. You can see
there
in the
on top
picture.
of our property.
Okay.
Yeah, you can
So
see in the
sad.
picture where he's wanting to put. It's a 60 by 100 building that he bought from the old Newton General Hospital. And I would venture to say that the insulating wall panels that he took from that building probably have asbestos in it too, and if it's sitting there for that long. That's just a guess. I'm not saying it is, because I've never had to test it.
If Mr. Vitus sits down with you, could we come back on the 19th? We meet again on the 19th and try to go back over this and see if we're making any progress. Is that okay with you guys?
On a
Okay.
prior occasion,
Great.
the health department was involved with us, and they were extremely helpful. And,
Yes.
Health department.
No doubt, we have some more information in this file. I'll give you the name afterwards, and we should be able to pull some things from it.
Okay, well, I appreciate everyone's time and
Thank you for
patience
you guys'
going through my
effort.
material.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Thank
Good
you.
homework. Thank you.
I think that's a
Thank
great
you.
starting point. Thank you.
All right,
very
thank you.
much. And once we give you everything, I feel so rude to leave too like the first minute. We have to pick up our kids.
That's all right.
It's more important.
I appreciate that.
You understand that. Happens to us all the time.
Yeah.
I don't have no kids no more. That's my small kid.
Take care, Bill.
Thank you.
Citizen presentation, Jackson Wilson.
Good evening, or afternoon, County Commission, and thank you for having me on your agenda today.
Absolutely.
The topic I'm going to be addressing this afternoon is something I feel is a very important aspect of our county's history and how I hope to improve it for the community. Before I continue, please allow me to introduce myself for those of you who do not know me. I'm Jackson Wilson of Chester, graduated from Oakland High School 2011, and currently attending Shepherd University in Shepherdstown, West Virginia to get my my Bachelor of the Arts degree in Historic Preservation Public History, which is basically like archiving, preservation, and museum work. My interest in history started about 5 or 6 years ago when I wanted to look into my own genealogy. As I started to research, I found myself at an area historical society where I would eventually come to be known as a staffer member and volunteer. I would go into this society several times a week to help organize holdings, sort through records, help other fellow researchers, and do my own research. After leaving that society with 4 years of service, I was cordially invited to serve as a genealogist on an area paranormal research society and several local committees. During my time on all these organizations, I not only gained a greater interest in my own heritage, but started to gain a stronger appreciation for our local history. As I worked in research for these organizations, I came to realize that there's so much history in the tri-state area alone, and unfortunately, much of this history is not really known by members of the community. Now to the topic in which I'd like to discuss this afternoon. As I continued adventuring deeper into my family history and doing investigations with that paranormal crew, I found that I was spending a lot of time in area cemeteries. I always have pondered on the lives of those beneath the surface of those hallowed grounds and wondered just what kind of impact they left on their communities on their day. Even more exciting is to find the gravesite of one of your ancestors. Even though they are long gone, it's just interesting to know that they are there and you're able to visit their final resting place. Both of these aspects further increased my interest in local history and my genealogy. As I worked more within these cemeteries, I was saddened to see how time can destroy these burial grounds. I realized eventually that sometimes tombstones are the only records of a person still existing, and to fall to desolation can cause these people to be forgotten and lost. This factor was one motivating push that got me interested in historic preservation and archiving. I just like the idea of helping to save something that the next generation can see and appreciate as we do now. Talking about local burial grounds in regard to the county. In Hancock County alone, we have so many historic cemeteries that are in need of tender, loving care. Old Flats Presbyterian Church Cemetery is a fine example of how fast cemeteries can decay, with fallen stones, broken stones, sunken and buried stones, overgrowth, and long forgotten unmarked graves. In several of the other older cemeteries in the county, you see similar displays, just not as severe as Flats, which I think is kind of the worse off. With my own research, interest in our history, pride for those who walked before us, and my interest in maintaining our local history, I am ready, trained, and prepared to start restoring what I can of these historic burial grounds. Thus now to why I asked to be on your agenda today, County Commission. I would like to humbly request your written permission to do preservation and restoration work within all the cemeteries managed by Hancock County. This will involve properly cleaning tombstones, resetting fallen, leaning, or sunken tombstones, and repairing broken ones. My work will mainly be cleaning right now, but will do the other two restorative methods as I get the needed supplies. My hope is not only to help preserve these cemeteries, but leave something for the following generations to appreciate as we do today. Plus, I imagine the folks and families of the folks buried in these places would smile wherever they are, knowing that they are not forgotten. I hope that you can grant me this privilege, and I look forward to dedicating my time and efforts to keep our rich past alive and intact. This concludes this portion of my request today. If you have any questions on anything regarding the work I'm interested in doing, I'm happy to answer those now. If not, I have a few details I'd like to mention briefly in regard to what I'm interested in doing.
Carry on.
Well, I didn't really go into detail, but with this grave work I would like to do, I've been trained under the direction of Dr. Keith Alexander of Shepherd University in how to properly maintain, restore, clean, and repair gravestones, how to map out a cemetery per se, to help with that work as well. And of course, through the process, everything will be documented. Pictures will be taken. For method-wise, let me just start with the top of what I do so you kind of get an idea of what I would be doing if allowed to do this here. I would walk around a cemetery, pick an area that I thought could use some work, stones that were not very clean, stones that were leaning or whatnot. And I would start by kind of setting a course of plan for these stones. I would take pictures of that particular area of the cemetery, document where it is in the cemetery so that can be on record. And after I would do that, I would map out just like a general drawing of that area, do some more planning with each individual stone, like say, okay, well this one looks like it would be fine with just a water wash. This one can use a cleaning treatment. And then, of course, I will get to work. I'll start with the stone, assign it kind of an ID or use an ID that's in the records of the county for the cemetery, as that can be kept track of for future reference. I would photograph the stone before I actually started the maintenance work, and from all sides, of course. I would document if there were any like big cracks in the stone or anything like that for liability purposes. And then I would get to cleaning. Now, when cleaning a tombstone, usually if it's just got some dirt or something on it, a dry brush is fine. And I use soft nylon brushes used by most preservationists with cemetery work. And if the dry brush doesn't work, I would proceed to doing a test cleaning with water and a nylon brush on the base of the back of the stone. Once that's fine, or if that's not enough, I would use a water and Dawn dish detergent solution. Dawn being environmentally friendly, biodegradable, and very gentle on the stones to not do any damage. And also, if there was a more extreme case, like high algae content on the stone, I could use a 1 part ammonia to 4 parts water solution as well, which is also safe and environmentally friendly. And if I'm able to maybe get a grant later on, I might even try to get some D2, which is used by all state parks to clean monuments, and used for cemetery work as well for some of the more extreme cleaning cases. And while cleaning, I would document the whole process from start to finish. Now, with the documented records of this process, that of course would be put with the records that the county has for that cemetery, so that that can be on file, but also will be sent to like the Charleston archives as well, just to make sure their history is thoroughly documented.
Mr. Wilson, I think a lot of this, your ideas are great, but we would have to get approval through our prosecutor's office to find out if we could have an individual go in and take on this sort of responsibility before the commission could grant that, because of liability issues and so on. And maybe Mr. Fahey can check in with the offices, and you understand what his plan is, his intentions are, and then we can get back with you to see if we can give you the okay to do so.
Okay. And like I said, everything will be documented just for that purpose. Like I said, photographs throughout the entire process, written documentation of what would be done. But I just wanted to get permission. I know with my own research is just want to try to help preserve what I can with my experience and training, just so that there's something there that the next generation can see.
How do you
I think-
finance that?
I'm sorry.
How would you finance that yourself?
Yeah, I already have all the supplies I need for cleaning, and if I were to do reparative work like resetting or something, I would probably apply for a state historic preservation grant to do that, because those materials are costly, but just my expense and my time. It's good. Just
Yeah.
something I'm interested in, and I just want to use what I've been taught to help people.
Good. Yeah, I think you have to put this request in writing to us. That way we could let our council see it, and we'll do our due diligence in looking this up, and then we would act on that written request.
Okay.
Including in that request your action plan and material, some sort of what you said today.
Okay.
Let's try to expedite it, because I'm sure you're only off for the summertime and you're back to school.
Mhm.
So as soon as you can get that in, we'll start moving on it
Okay.
and get it approved. All
That
right?
sounds good.
Thank you.
You're welcome, and
Thank
thank you
you.
for hearing me out, and I look forward to working with you
Okay.
on this.
Thank you. Correspondence. Thomas DiCaprio, attorney, Frankovich and Anatakas, notice of successor trustee sale, encourages the tenants at the sale to protect the county's interest.
Move to make that a matter of record.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Robert Pennington, West Virginia Department of Highways. Statewide Transportation Improvement Program 2013-2018 listing of proposed amendments is available for public review and comment.
Again, move to make that a matter of record.
So moved. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Northern Panhandle Workforce Investment Board requesting the commission to appoint a current board member representing the private business sector to serve on the executive committee for the term of July 1st, 2013 through June 30th, 2014. That is in your book there, gentlemen, your agenda. We have Nancy Kowalski, John Sereni, Bill Tice, Paul Laudamus, and Marty Hudak. What's your pleasure?
I would like to nominate Paul Audemus. He's their current rep. He's done a great job, and I think everyone appreciates his work and efforts, and I would be honored to nominate him for that.
Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Northern Panhandle Workforce Investment Board requesting the reappointment of 3 individuals to the Board of Directors. There's a letter in there, gentlemen, asking for John Sereni, Bill Tice, and Marty Hudak.
Move to approve that request.
Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. New business, County Commission. Approval of the bid for the Old Oak Glen Football Stadium bleachers sections and other related field equipment. We have those bids right here, gentlemen. If you'll look at that, Mr. Schwartzman.
Would you like me to read them out per package?
No, just go to the top, whatever you want,
Well,
whatever you want to do.
Mr. Zelinski, can I ask a question first before, instead of reading all these out? Have you seen these? You have seen these?
Yes, sir, I have.
Okay. When you added all 4 of the packages up, did they exceed or short of the last bid, the 5th bid, total?
I believe all 4 total the
Mr. Ustock's adds to the.
Exactly to the bid?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So in a nutshell then, the bid on all 4 packages together collectively, and the first bid is a negative bid, correct?
Yes, sir.
So we have 2 bids. One is a minus $19,500. And the second bid from Ustock Development is a plus $7,323. And that would be for the 4 packages put together.
Mr. Hustock's willing to pay $7,300, is what you're saying?
7323, yes. So in essence, that is the high bid.
Move to accept the bids as presented.
So moved. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. So Mr. Ustock we've accepted that bid.
And he received package 1, package 2, package 3, and package 4.
Okay. Thank you. Approval of the Abandoned Building Ordinance Committee to re-advertise for demolition of 400 Grant Street, Newell, maps G29, parcel 130, Hancock County, West Virginia. I would like to change that, gentlemen. After talking to Mr. Savakis today, who's head of our abandoned building, he has asked us to suspend that order to demolish that building. So I'd like to have a motion to suspend that order.
So moved.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Also, Kenneth Graves, who resides at 402 Grant Street, which is next door to this property, agrees to purchase the property located at 400 Grant Street from the lawful owners Frederick Snowden, Powell Sullivan, and Lynn Ann Sullivan. He further agrees to proceed with the demolition of both structures on the property located on the 400 Grant Street to be completed within 90 days of the 6th day of June 2013. If we agree to this, this gentleman will buy and tear those down without any cost to the county.
Move to approve.
Question?
Yes.
Counselor?
You also need to waive the prohibition under the ordinance of transfer of property while it's under condemnation.
So moved.
So moved. That's been waived. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, the third part is this. So we suspended that, we waived, and now we're making this happen here. The motion would be to proceed with this.
To accept this bid and sell the properties in the terms of this letter. That
All-
is my motion.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the ayes have it. Approval of an individual to fill the open position of the Hancock County Parks and Recreation Board of Directors for the Butler District. And we have no one right now, so I would ask us to re-advertise. I'll accept a motion to re-advertise.
So moved.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the ayes have it. Approval of hiring Teddy Adkins as a summer employee.
Move to approve.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the ayes have it. Approval of the 2013-2014 juvenile mediation grant for $150,000.
Move to approve.
Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the ayes have it. Tax Office, Geological and Economic Survey Grant received in the amount of $7,125.
Move to approve.
Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the ayes have it. Number 7, I'm going to ask Ruth Ann Danford to talk about this one. Approval agreement between the County Commission and Sky Construction Incorporated for the renovation of Hancock County Animal Shelter. Ruth Ann, could you explain to everyone what that's going to be about?
For anyone that's ever been to the shelter, you would know that the runs, kennels that we have now for outdoors go down over a hill, and they're constantly muddy. We probably hauled, I don't know, close to 50 tons of slag and crushed limestone out there to spread it to keep, and it just sinks into the mud. I mean, it just keeps sinking in. So we want to put a new set of kennels right behind the shelter where the old sewage treatment plant was. And it'll give us 14 outdoor runs, and half of each run will be covered, so that the dogs will have an area where they can get out of the sun if they need to, or go out into the sun area. And Sky Construction will be doing that job for us.
Ruth Ann, how much is the cost and what comes from the levy and where's the money come from?
The project is going to be approximately $195,000, and none of that will come from the levy or the commissioners. The foundation will be funding the whole project.
Great job by the foundation. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we need to approve it because the building does belong to us, so I will accept a motion to approve that.
Move to approve.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the ayes have it. Notice to commission and employees. Use of wireless devices, July 1st, 2013. Tom, what's,
Gentlemen, if you'll remember, last year, Senate Bill 211, basically from the state of West Virginia, prohibited texting while driving and use of a cell phone with a Bluetooth device, hands-free device. Effective July 1st, 2012 was a secondary offense. Effective July 1st, 2013 becomes a primary offense. So I just wanted to bring that to the commission so that anyone using cell phones, employees, to be aware of that going into law on July the 1st.
I'll accept the motion to make that a matter of record.
So moved.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the ayes have it. Circuit Clerk, approval of a special project request to purchase a 55-inch television to be used for video conference calls and trial procedures costing approximately $850.
Move to approve.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the ayes have it. County Clerk, she's still here today. She hasn't retired yet. Approval to reopen 2 estates to issue updated letters of appointment.
Move to approve.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the ayes have it. Approval of the delinquent tax list for the 2012 tax year.
In my hand, delinquent taxes. But it's not as bad as it seems, right, Sheriff?
No, it's not. A lot of those, I'm not sure exactly the percentage will be, but a great deal of it will be paid during a period of time when they're renewing their vehicles. So a lot of those, if you go through the numbers, they're very low numbers to begin with. We're looking at handling some other ones. little bit differently, but it looks daunting, but it's not quite as bad as it looks.
Thank you. I'll accept a motion to,
Move to approve the list as presented, all under 362 pages.
all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the ayes have it. Office of Technology and Communication, requesting approval of a change in the county employee policy manual regarding earned sick days. Mr. Zelinski.
Yes, sir. Through a number of discussions with the county's elected officials in terms of the amount of sick days employees are entitled to, was noted that in the 911 center, the dispatchers were earning approximately 1 1/2 days, similar to what the deputies do under civil service. This particular request would be to remove that stipulation on the dispatchers and bring all employees to 1 day per month, with the exception of the deputies who are under civil service, making that effective July 1st, 2013.
I'll accept a motion on that behalf.
Move to approve.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the ayes have it. Requesting approval of a change to the county employee policy manual, safety and health section. It's in your packets there. Has to do with the Brick Street insurance. We don't have a reporting policy for accidents or injuries, so we are looking at that.
Move to approve.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the ayes have it. Requesting approval of the architectural service agreement from LBRA Architecture in West Virginia to provide the necessary plans and engineering service for a new secured main front entrance to the Hancock County Courthouse. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the ayes have it. Bids received for the OEM 911 and Health Department Complex project are currently being reviewed. Mr. Zelinski, you have a recommendation there?
Yes, sir, I do. Last Friday, 6 bids were presented and opened. Unfortunately, the bids received were all significantly higher than the projected budgeted amount. After conversations with our engineering consultant, the significant cost reductions cannot be made. It's my recommendation to the commission to reject all bids and do a reevaluation of the project.
Lowest bid, Mr. Zelinski?
Was $4.8 million.
And that did not include the communication equipment, is that correct?
That is correct. There was an additional $2 million add-on for the technology package.
I move that we do not accept any of the bids that were submitted to the commission.
Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the ayes have it. Prosecuting attorney requesting approval of depositors for Hancock County Savings Banks and First National Community Bank.
Move to approve.
Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the ayes have it. Sheriff's Office. Approval of a special project fund request to purchase computer systems to replace the current outdated systems and a replacement 4-channel DVR not to exceed $6,600.
It's been budgeted.
Hearing none, I have not heard anything.
This was run through technology, correct?
First I'm heard it. No, yes, it has.
Move to approve.
Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the ayes have it. Approval of probates and estates.
Recommend approval, Mr. Ford.
No, I give them that.
That's okay.
Move to approve.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the ayes have it. Approval of exoneration orders.
Move to approve.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the ayes have it. General county bills, Cindy?
$68,223.82. The P-card payments for all funds was $48,893.24.
Move to approve.
Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the ayes have it. Oakland PSD bills.
There are none today.
Fire allocation bills and requisitions.
They're okay to pay.
Move to approve.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the ayes have it. Approval of library levy fund bills and requisitions.
They're okay.
Move to approve.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the ayes have it. Animal shelter levy fund bills and requisitions.
I have one bill from them reimbursing the animal shelter for the amount of $8,502.53 for various items that they'd already purchased. I believe Tom still has it. I think there's a lot of utilities and
Utilities and different type of supplies from different vendors that they typically utilize.
that's what they normally turn in.
Move to approve.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the ayes have it. Sheltered workshop bills and requisitions.
You're okay.
Move to approve.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the ayes have it. Minutes for April 2013.
Move to approve.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the ayes have it. Sheriff?
Mr. Schwartzmiller, as memory serves, you were looking into designing a new ordinance for abandoned vehicles. I was just curious as to where you're at with that.
Progressing. Working on it. Not finished.
Thank you, sir. I wasn't sure how long it's been. I think it's been a little bit more than a week or so since
Right.
we talked.
I'm trying to do my homework on it, and I will get back to you, Sheriff, as soon as I complete that.
Thank you very much, sir.
Mr. Fahey?
Nothing today.
Ms. Cindy? Mr. Alonso? John Paul?
Nothing to report this week.
Tracy? Lynn? Robert?
Nothing.
Thomas?
Nothing more.
Miss Eleanor?
Well, you still have me to yell at for 2.5 months, but for the ones that haven't heard, I am retiring August 31st of this year. So, I've been with the county government for 36 years. Wow.
Congratulations.
Time to
Alan.
move on, or out, or whatever y'all push me out.
Mr. Schwartzman?
Well, I wasn't going to say anything, but since you hit that with us, we're going to miss you very much. Congratulations.
Thanks.
That's all I
Mr. Davis?
Nothing today.
Mr. Zelinski's retiring at the end of the month also. We're going to lose Mr. Zelinski.
That is correct.
That will probably give a big round of applause when that happens.
I'm sure. Should we congratulate Steve on his recent marriage?
Oh.
Hey, congratulations, Steve.
We may not meet for a couple of months because this is the longest we've ever met, I think. But I will accept the motion, and we will not be back. We will be back June 19th, not the 20th. The 20th is State of West Virginia, 150th birthday, so we'll be back June 19th. But I will accept the motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Adjourn.